and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I need 6 eggs. Oh, I hope you get that reference. And if you don't, it's from the movie Beauty and the Beast, because that is exactly what we are reviewing today, a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Today, my guest and I will be discussing The Beast by Katee Robert, which is part of her Wicked Villains series. You may remember that we reviewed the Aladdin one a while back, and it was so much fun. I'll link to the episode in the show notes. And also in the show notes is a link to subscribe to TSTL's Substack. I know everyone is on there, and I am everyone. I am one of many. But I hope you subscribe for some more unhinged takes on romance novels, including that of the fictional variety with Claimed by TBD, a comedy audio story exclusively for TSTL subscribers. Okay, enough of this housekeeping. We have a ball to go to. Oh, wait, that's the wrong fairy tale. I'm referencing Cinderella, and this is Beauty. Okay, anyway, I am so excited about today's guest. Content creator, consultant, and coach Mindy Marzec is here to unpack this tale as old as time. She is such a great person to talk about romance with. She's actually a great person to talk about anything with, and unpacking this book was a complete joy. So please enjoy this review of The Beast.
I told you, I got you.
We're already in tears. Mindy, oh my God, welcome to Too Stupid to Live, this podcast.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, first of all. Okay, so I know the answer to this question, but just for the listeners out there, tell me about your experience reading and or listening to romance novels or erotica.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of a late bloomer in this regard. I didn't read my first romance novel until like a little over 2 years ago. And I'm in my 40s, so I have had a bit to catch up on. But I started reading it. I don't even remember why I started reading it, but I was just like, I think it's time. I'm going to check one of these out. A lot of my peers are reading them. So I read a Christmas themed one and I really enjoyed it. And I read a second Christmas themed one and I enjoyed that as well. So I was just like, I think I like smut. Like, I think I like it. And so I just kept reading them and reading them and reading them and reading them. And it really hasn't stopped, Becky.
I love that. You can't stop once you start.
It's like Lay's potato chips.
It's exactly what it's like. That's the tagline for all of the books. It's like Lay's potato chips.
You can't have just one.
Were you a reader before smut? Were you like pre-smut era? Who were you then? Because really,
who really was I? No, not really. I read a lot of business related books. I'm that type of nerd who's always like looking for the next self-help or productivity recommendation type books, business books. And so I never really read fiction for fun. I was never a romance movie girly, like not even in my teen years and 20 years. I was very, I thought it was very silly. And so I just kind of kept that thinking through my life. So no, not a huge reader. But so I kind of, a lot of people say that reading romance books actually got them back into reading. And that was very true for me. And I love that for us, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you realize like, oh, they are yes, they're books, but it's like you're still doing the same type of activity you would be doing if you were reading like, a law book or something, you know what I mean? Like it's still the same action, and so yeah, it's just something better subject or something. I don't know.
It's more entertaining. I mean, everyone likes what they like. My husband loves to read like biographies of like World War II generals, books that
Everyone's
are like 2 inches
loves to do that. Everyone's husband does that.
And I'm on my Kindle with my little romance books, and It works out great. It's fine.
He wishes he could be reading that. Trust no.
He doesn't. He's fine.
It's funny that like you mention, two prior to this 2 years ago not really being into romance and thinking it's silly because you're kind of your persona and your personality and your job is you are a Disney influencer.
Yeah, I hate that term. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
I'm so
say I'm
sorry.
a
Oh
Disney
yeah.
content creator. It's okay.
Disney. Okay. I will never mind. You cannot believe it.
Rewind. Uh,
Rewind. You are Disney content creator.
yes, I am. I'm a huge Disney fan, and I realized there might be a little disconnect between like the romance thing, but it was never my Disney fandom comes from growing up and going to Disneyland a
Right.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say I'm more of a Disney parks
Mm-hmm.
content creator than an
Sure.
overall Disney content creator. But I do
Mm-hmm.
love the movies. I tend to like the movies that are less romance focused. Like my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Disney animated movie since the day it came out and I saw it in theaters is Mulan, which
Oh, I
has a
love that movie.
storyline that's really not focused on her getting a guy at the end, like a
Mm-hmm.
lot
Mm-hmm.
of princess Disney movies are. Um, so that's my favorite. I love Rapunzel, who just wanted freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good for her. Um, Brave, where Merida is, arguing with her mom. Relatable.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
like those are the movies that I like. But yeah, just never like I was never a Cinderella girly
Right.
or Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, waiting for like my prince to show up. But
Right.
uh, I mean, I appreciate it all for the art, but that
Sure.
sounds so
Sure.
snobby. I
No, not at
appreciate them
all.
for the art.
I
Yeah.
like see it as like I don't know when I like look at your Instagram and I like look at your blog and stuff like I see going to Disneyland as like escapism, like there
Oh, for
is a
sure.
level of that and versus with romance not like I see reading romance as escapism but you don't like leave your house most of the times and so it's just like it's funny that how like seeing these kind of like intersect for you now.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. It's all escapism. The same way that maybe listening to like your favorite album by your favorite singer is a form of escapism.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's all yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the same idea. And that's the reason I love Disney so much. I can go to a Disney park. I just kind of feel like the stress leave my
Yes.
body, like the weight leave your shoulders. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm only here for a day or a few hours maybe, but like I don't have any responsibilities while I'm
Hmm.
here. I can chill. Everyone's friendly. I get to see my friends. My friends are Mickey and Minnie. Becky, I don't know. But I get to see my
Hey
friends.
Betty
Like,
and they're like
yeah, no, they know me. They know me.
I like Mickey, Mindy, and Minnie. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, the three of us, the three musketeers, as
Yeah.
they say.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
that's a different franchise.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it is. It's escapism.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, tell me about like, I'm just thinking about like, having read romance and being online, there is a level of community. I imagine there's like a level of community with being a content creator and loving Disneyland. Like, again, like is there kind of like an intersection there of just like oh you're meeting people who are like into things which is so hard few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's an online community for literally everything. But I've found, and it doesn't come up in like initial conversations, but I have found that a lot of my fellow Disney girlies are romance
Hmm.
readers as well. So
Yes.
yeah, once it comes up, it's like, we just became best friends, and
Hmm.
that's all you can talk about is what books you've read lately. I have a couple friends that our Goodreads accounts are linked to each other, and
Hmm.
so, yeah, there is a bit of an overlap there. You are correct.
Absolutely. Like it is really nice when you like are meeting some like you meet someone for the first time and you mention like, oh, I've been reading this, and then all of a sudden you're pulling out your Goodreads account and you're just like seeing all of the same books and we're like, oh, okay, this is we no more questions asked. This is a friendship.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Um, okay. Well, tell me about like in these last 2 years, with the books that you were reading, like what is your like kind of go-to kind of like you're in the mood to read a romance novel right now. What are you leaning towards? Like, is there a specific trope, subgenre kind of thing that's like your kind of your jam at the moment?
Absolutely. I am first and forever a friends to lovers
Mm-hmm.
person. My favorite trope. I can do an enemies to lovers if it's done well. I
Sure.
kind of get bored with a bit of a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
But I've powered through before. It's fine.
It's worth it
It's
sometimes.
worth it sometimes. But yeah, friends to lovers. I'm not big into some of the more like kinkier
Mm.
tropes, the
Mm-hmm.
more non-con stuff and sub dom type stuff. I've
Yes.
read plenty of it and I've just gone like, oh well, this isn't really for me. I'm more
Mm-hmm.
like a sweet
Mm-hmm.
romance, longing. I love yearning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love yearning.
Like give me a good
So
yearn any
give
day. Yeah.
yes, please. Yes, I love friends to lovers. I love like the dual point of view when they're both, pining
Mm-hmm.
for each other, yearning for each other, and neither of them knows it. It's like when I'm like clutching my blanket and kicking my
Yes.
feet. I love it.
Yes. And like I feel like in Friends to Lovers, like the yearn level can be a lot higher than like enemies to lovers because it's like you kind of like you've kind of there's a level of the characters like accepting where they are, like oh I'm this person's friend and I have to deal with this every day, and it's like the angst can be so much
Oh,
deeper.
yes, the angst. Yeah, and I feel like with enemies to lovers, like it obviously starts out where they're just like, he's so annoying, but he also intrigues me. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, come on. Yeah, like,
Yeah, it's
well,
like
we know where this is going.
right. Yeah, but with like a friends to lover, because I'm a big fan of enemies to lovers, but it's so interesting to be like, well, actually, friends to lovers is like just as sticky and icky and complicated, if not more than like, oh, we are just enemies and that's it. Oh, we're gonna
Yeah,
fuck now.
especially if they start out dating other people. Like they've been
Mm-hmm.
friends and now they're both dating other people, or someone's going through a breakup while someone else is still dating someone. Is just like the tension.
Yes. When you would watch TV, were you always a fan of like the will they or won't they romances?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like an example of something that maybe when I was a teen, like I guess my so-called life is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
an example of that,
Mm-hmm.
where she really, Angela really yearned for Jordan Catalano, as we all
As we
did
all did.
and still do.
Yes, I was about to say.
So yeah, yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Um,
of like even though they did end up getting together and they had a fraught, but like Buffy and Angel, like that to me, like kind of you wanted them to get back together. I guess I was Team Angel the entire time, which is weird. Now I'm Team No One, but like I'm Team Everyone Go Away. But
right, right.
then like it was kind of like oh this is like I feel like that was when I truly felt like high school depression for the first time. It was like during that run when he became evil.
You're like, not my boyfriend.
Yeah,
Oh
this isn't going to work out. It's not going to work out for anyone. I'm not studying for math.
no. Absolutely devastating.
So, okay, you mentioned that like the whole BDSM kind of non-con kind of scenario isn't your thing. Of course, I'm like, I'm going to suggest this book, see what she thinks, or like this series.
Well, I yeah, okay. So, do you want to explain how you like reached out to me, or like tell me how you even like found this series?
Okay, so I do really love this author. She has written a lot of like different books that I have read that are just nuts. Um two books that I've read for this show, and when we saw each other before or like before Christmas, and I was like oh you're going to come on my show, and I was like I was internet stalking you as I do with everyone, and I was like this Katee Robert series would be so fun to see what you think of book, particularly because we were talking audio narrators. It has a really good, I think, a really good audio narrator. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool like, I'm just gonna put this out there. I honestly thought you were gonna be like, no, absolutely not.
Oh,
I would
really?
never. I don't know why. I guess maybe because I was like worried, not worried. I don't worry, but like I was like, oh, okay, like you are a content creator. You do have a community. This is a taking a Disney story and like adding so much like not that there's anything wrong with like sex or anything like that, but there's a taboo element to it. And I was like, oh, is this gonna like affect your online persona or something like that? I mean, it was
Yeah.
just me overthinking is the point, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me just tell you that I know for a fact that my online community is pretty freaky.
This is so good to know. So good to
Because
know.
I've talked about this. I mean, I talk about it on my platforms. I talk about the books that I've read. I ask for recommendations. I get a lot of them. I mean, yeah, I do have like Disney brought us all together, but of course we have other interests.
Of
And I should
course.
probably say, like, at the top, I should have probably said this at the top. I do not work with Disney ever.
No, right. Yeah, of
I
course.
am not a representative
Yeah.
of Disney. I don't like, just because I'm a Disney content creator, Disney does not interact with me.
Right.
It don't. So, and I'm not necessarily, I'm pretty sure I'm not the type of person that Disney is looking to work with. We've worked in the past. But at this point in my life, I am like too far gone with talking about smutty books and perimenopause and all the other things that are going on in my life. So let me just make it really clear that there's no Disney is not involved with my content or my page in any way. That being said, when you first suggested this to me, I absolutely, like, you told me to look at the series and I said, oh, I absolutely want to read the Beauty and the Beast Why Choose story. Yes. Because you know, and why I've read a lot of Why Choose. You know, I've read Pucking Around.
Yeah.
I've read all the classics. And it's not my favorite genre, but I appreciate it for what it is. So I was just like, oh, this is at making this trope with the Beauty and the Beast characters is like genius. So yes. I was automatically in when you first brought it up to me.
Thank goodness.
I was never a doubt in my mind.
Oh, thank goodness. I mean, yeah, I mean, I know it, like, yes, you know, like, it is interesting. My brain's going all over the place right now, but like, it is interesting the way that, like, okay, Disney has been around since the 19 whatevers, and the way it kind of affects different cultures and different people now. And it's like, well, what does Disney even look like? Like, yeah, of course, people who are into Disney are also going to love smut. Like, it's so overarching and so overwhelming. Like, I don't know, like, it's like almost hearing about how, like, you know, meeting people who are into D&D and how horny they are, and like, you're like, oh yeah, they are all fucking all the time. Like, of course, you know what I mean? Like, who do we think people are anymore? Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, like, I feel like if you're an adult and you have a fandom, you're also probably into fucking.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah,
I mean, it's a human, you know,
it's
desire.
a human thing. Like, there's no, like, I think sometimes my brain gets caught in like high school roles these days of like, oh, well, if you're into something, that means no, you're not getting laid.
You're not getting laid. Yeah, no.
If you have a passion about something or like just a hobby, like, it's like you're doing something that's not sex, you're a loser. Like, I don't know what I mean.
Please don't make me think about my high school days, Becky.
I am so sorry. But the thing is, that's okay. All I think about my high school days. And then I forget that, like, I'm going to be 40. And I'm like, I should get over that. Like, I should get over that.
It might be time. Yeah.
It might be
time. It might be time. But yeah, I immediately wanted to read this. And I will say that at the time, I knew nothing about this author, nothing about these stories. I did listen to Mel's episode where he reviewed, I think, the Aladdin related one. And I listened to that before I started reading. And so when I got into it, I got to like chapter 2 and I was like, oh, what have I done? What have I agreed to? Because it really
Yeah.
is not. It's very, Becky, this book is filthy.
I know. It is so filthy.
It's so
It is
filthy.
it was like I cannot believe like I was like reviewing it today, like kind of just like skimming it over today, like to get ready for this. And I was like, this might be this is smut. Like I like, cause you know how like some people are like, they think like, I don't know, like if a book has like a sex scene in it, they're suddenly like porn, this is smutty, this is blah blah blah. And then I was like looking at it again and I was looking at like the story to sex ratio and I was like,
It's
oh,
porn.
it's really, really like very sex heavy, and it's fine. Like I'm here for it, you
Yep.
know. But
Totally fine.
yeah,
There's an argument, and I don't want to say argument. There's a
Mhm.
discussion because we've talked about this off, off podcast related, where I love my smutty books, but I also listen to erotica,
Mhm.
audio erotica, which is porn. I
Yeah,
mean, it's porn.
Mhm.
So there's a big discussion about like, well, when is audio erotica porn compared to romance books or audio romance books that are being read aloud? And I think the general consensus that I've read is that if the goal is to get you off,
Mhm.
it's porn. But
Right.
if the goal is to be like a story with that just happens to have a sex scene in it or two or
Mhm.
three, then it's not porn. Like
Right.
this book is porn.
You think this is porn? See, I when you were saying that, I was like, oh well, then this isn't porn. Like that's
No,
so
I think it's
funny to
porn.
me. You think it's porn? Okay, because it's so
I
funny to
mean, the
me.
story the story is like filler. Like if you've
Mhm.
ever watched like a traditional porn movie or
Yeah.
film, there's a bit of storyline in there to keep you going from one sex scene to the next.
Right.
But
Right.
it's still porn, even though if like the pizza guy shows up and then and then he has to leave and then the plumber shows up, like
Right.
that has to happen for it to be kind of believable, I guess.
I
I don't know what
think
I'm talking
so.
about.
No, I know exactly what I actually know exactly what you're talking about. Cause like okay, so like in porn, when you're watching it and it let's say it is like the pizza man scenario, which we have all seen, okay.
My fave, yeah.
They come in and it's just your classic, your fairy tale porn. Pizza guy, I didn't order a pizza, but okay, that whole thing, our whole
Also, side
fantasy.
note, if someone came to my door and promised me pizza and then didn't have pizza and wanted to fuck me instead, I would be like, please come back with pizza.
Yeah, I'm like, what are
I
you doing? It's
What are you doing to
2025.
put your pants back on? I
Yeah.
just want my extra cheese and pep.
Yeah, like I'm not like listen, I'm a hungry girl. Like,
But
I
not in
want
that way. I am
exactly.
literally physically hungry for my
I
stomach.
exactly. I didn't eat all day. I ordered a whole pizza for myself. Like what kind of mood
Where
do you
is
think I'm
it?
in?
I know, the last thing I want to do is have sex.
Yeah, I just want to just eat a whole pizza myself, just down it, and then like feel really great, and then have just sex with you whose name I don't know.
Yeah, no. Just the pizza, please.
Just the pizza.
Anyway, you were
Yeah.
saying.
I was saying, what was I saying? Oh, like there's like for me and porn, there is, and maybe because it's like I can't sit still as in general, is like you when the porn happens and then the dialogue's over, they're having sex and you're just watching them fuck to fruition, and maybe they stop and they do a different angle and then they go here and then they go there, and it's all just like there's a level of like story pacing that like this book, like I don't know, it wasn't just like okay, she was just like, oh no, who am I gonna like choose, him or him, and then they all three have sex, and then just the rest of the book is just like one long sex scene, which is like, I don't know, it wasn't that. There was still like
Yeah,
they I guess my point is that they stopped at some point to
they
have a
do.
snack.
You're right. All right. I will give that to you. Fair.
But I
Fair.
guess this
We'll
is,
agree to
yeah,
disagree on that one.
but I think this is what's so fascinating though, is that like I think like the what something makes, what like what makes something pornographic versus erotic, or like pornographic versus sensual, is so different for everyone, and it's all
Yeah,
valid. Like
absolutely.
there's probably someone who thinks, you know, VC Andrews is porn, and you know what, who am I to say you're wrong, you know, like.
Yeah, yes, and I'm saying this with zero judgment
Of
regarding
100%,
if
yeah.
something is porn or something is not porn. If you
Mm-hmm.
like something, you know, my background, I was raised Catholic, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot to unpack. I have a lot to unpack
Mm-hmm.
still at my age. So, you know, it took me a while to unclutch my pearls when I'm reading some of these scenes. And now I'm
Yeah.
just like, this bored me. I don't,
Oh my
where
god.
was the plot? No, it's,
Yes.
you know.
But you are right about that. You are right about that. Okay, wait. Let me just read a quick synopsis, and then we will
Yeah,
continue
please.
this, because this is
Please.
fascinating. Okay, so
Yes.
we reviewed the book The Beast by Katee Robert. It's currently $4.99. So I don't know if you remember the beginning part of the Beauty and the Beast 1991 animated movie, but there is that voiceover in the beginning with like the glass or the colored glass thingies. So pretend I'm saying that
The
in
stained
that
glass,
voice, the
Becky.
stained glass. Not,
Okay.
yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, so it's so the music's playing in the background.
Mm.
Okay. Once upon a time in Carver City, two rivals, the Beast and Gaston, spent a ton of time in a sex club called the Underground. One night, Isabel, the former flame of both of them, came in from the cold, offering herself to the rivals in return for her family's protection from her late father's enemies. But when the three of them finally give in to their deepest desires, presumptions of Isabel melt away, revealing Isabel to be a beautiful enchantress who once again captures the hearts of both Beast and Gaston. But having to choose just one man as her partner becomes torture, for who could ever learn to not love a villain and a beast? Dun dun
I heard,
dun.
like, I had the, I don't know if there's copyright issues, but I did have the like da 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 da.
That's exactly what I needed. Thank you.
You
Yes.
want to read it again and I can sing over? No, let's
Yeah,
not do
no,
that.
yeah. I'll edit it in and just
Yeah,
like
okay, okay. I'll when we are
and get
done with the
sued. Yeah.
main show, I'll record a little ditty
Just
for
like if
you.
you could like hum it and then send it, and it'll just be like this beautiful moment, and people will be like, "Am I listening to Beauty and the Beast right now?"
Did I accidentally turn on the movie?
Yeah.
Can I talk about like the very first obvious thing about this book? Here's the
Yes.
thing that, okay, so when I was reading this book,
Mm-hmm.
I kept picturing over and over the author, Katee, what is
Mm-hmm.
it? Katee
Katee
Robert?
Robert. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
I kept picturing her legal team reading through the book and just like crossing things out, like, no, we can't have that. You have to change
Mm-hmm.
this. You have to tweak that a little.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Gayton,
Yeah. They were just
Gayton.
crossing out the S in Gaston again and
They
again.
literally changed the S to an E. Gaeton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gaeton. And I kept reading it as Gayton, and I had to like stop my brain and be like, no, they want it to be like Gaeton.
Yeah, that's how I was reading it. And then, okay, you know how like sometimes like Welsh words, there's a bunch of letters in it, but it's not the what they say. Like I was like, maybe this is like a Welsh spelling of Gaston. Like in my head.
Oh my gosh. So I like the whole time I'm reading it and I'm just like furious.
Mhm.
I'm like, why did they make it so difficult? They couldn't have just chose, like, they couldn't have replaced any other letter.
Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, so yes. And notice her name is Isabel.
Hmm.
Never once in the book is she referred to as Belle.
No.
Like,
And
yeah.
her last name's Belmonte. So she's got a double bell in there.
But not just Belle.
Mm-mm.
Don't mm-mm.
Mm-mm. No, no, no.
Can't her name can never be just Belle.
Never be.
I just picture
Yeah.
the lawyer being like, absolutely not. You
Like,
absolutely cannot, and under any circumstances, have a book where there is a Beast character and a Belle character, and they're doing all the things that they're doing.
That we all pictured them doing in 1991
during the movie. Okay,
Oh my
yeah.
God,
So
it's so
Isabel,
funny.
yes. So it starts off with can I get
Yeah,
into it?
do
I
do
took
it.
notes. Okay, so yeah,
Yes.
they so Isabel, as you mentioned, her father dies, and she needs to go find Beast and Gaeton
Mm-hmm.
and bring them back to fight for her territory
Mm-hmm.
because the person who runs the neighboring territory, whose name is Ursa,
Not Ursula,
not never Ursula, her name is Ursa,
and her like street name is the Sea Witch. So there you
but not
go.
definitely not Ursula.
Mm-mm.
And so she is threatening war against their territory. So
Mm-hmm.
Isabel is sent to get Beast and Gaeton back because they left when her father died. And
Mm-hmm.
where does she need to go? She needs to go to a building called the Underworld.
Yes.
And it turns out the Underworld is a sex club.
Correct. Yes. That is
Is
correct.
everyone with me so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So she has to go to the Underworld.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, run by a man named Hades.
Yes. Who I'm assuming was in the previous book.
Yes, and I feel like if I had read the previous books, I would have a much better time with this
Mm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Hades runs the Underworld, but it's not like you think. The Underworld
Mm-mm.
is a sex club, and
Yes. And a nice
Megara
one. Yeah.
is a
Mm-hmm.
very nice club. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been to one, but it sounds extensive.
It sounds like it's one of those things where it's like there are janitors who probably like work in the sex club and like they work there full time and they have to like keep it clean during the day and like they just clean it the way
Why,
offices are cleaned and
why
they're
are
just like
you putting these images in my head, Becky?
because I just think about like
Like the
they're
accountant, like someone has to clean up all the spooge. Someone
yes there
has
has to
to power wash
mhm.
the furniture. Yeah,
Exactly. And there's like, like what if there's there's also like the building owner. I'm sure that like Hades
sure.
bought the building and so he probably has some sort of landlord
He
or
has a
something.
property management company.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And are there other storefronts? Like is there like a, latex store before you walk in, a snack shop,
Like a gift shop at a hotel when you walk into a hotel and they have
exactly.
all the amenities that you possibly might need for one night away from home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have like outside contractors coming in, plumbing, cable, Wi Fi, all of it, like.
They do at one point, and this just, again, never been to a sex club, so maybe this is
Mhm.
just my nativity. Nativity? Nativity?
Nativity. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
my nativity.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm just naive,
Hmm.
but there's a point where Beast, uh, they do a thing in the club, the thing that you do,
Hmm.
and they said, well, where should we go? Should we stay here? And they're like, I don't want to sleep here tonight. Let's go home. And he walks to a drawer, like a dresser, and
Hmm.
pulls out like a pair of sweatpants and a shirt. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I do they just have everyone's size? Is it
Right.
like jail when they just issue you like a do they just have
Scrubs.
like jumpsuits you can pick from?
It's just
But like
scrubs with like a dick drawn on it and be
yeah.
like sex
It's
club
like this
wear.
is just a sex club. I just like I'm trying to picture the scenario when it's just like, did they know you were? Is this your room? It was unclear. And when I talk
Yes.
about how like I have trouble enjoying these books, it's
Hmm.
because this is what my brain does. I'm just like I need more information about how this sex club operates before I can go
Yes.
to the next chapter.
I am the same way. I completely agree with you. I actually, if you can believe it or not, have been to a sex club before. Like I went, and it is not this at all. Like it is I went because okay, so I have like, whatever. I have like chronic pelvic pain, blah blah blah. But I met a friend who was like, "Oh, you should it's like you have to like first of all you have to pass a lot of like kind of or you have to go to a lot of orientations in order to like get to the part where I'm assuming it is this, like
Really? Because Isabel
yeah.
just walked right in.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Like it's not I don't think it like for the one that I went to, that I went to twice. It was all orientations and it's all really it's more of like a symposium about like pleasure and consent and like different toys to use than it was like you're in there and there's just like kind of wild shit like I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but like it was so regulated. It was like, and I'll be honest with you, like everyone there, like, and I mean this very reverently, is very dorky. Like there are people, like they're like theater dorks, and like, it's like, oh, this is just like this strange world that's like in the Matrix or something where everyone is so sexy and so good looking and they know all the rules versus like in real life, like it is or it is more of an orientation in a class than it is like whoosh, and like there's definitely no like I guess maybe again this could also be an LA thing, like this was a storefront like next to a Vaughn's or whatever, like rent's expensive, they don't have a bunch of rooms with like clothes in it that fit you perfectly.
Like, have you seen LA rental prices?
I mean, Jesus, it's hard to stay. But they're just like, I guess my point is that it's more like an event space than it is
Sure.
like what this makes it out to be, which is like absolutely fiscally not happening. Like it's just not possible.
And it's once you start thinking about that, it's hard to like focus on the boning because you're just like, who is funding this? Like how many rooms? Like, they walk down a hallway with like a bunch of doors. Like how many doors? Like how big is this place? Where does the hallway go? What is the floor plan?
See,
I need some help.
Yeah, and I'm worried about what worries me about it is the security situation because like they do like allude to they have key cards and there's like filmed parts and like there's like eye scans and all this stuff and it's like okay, well wait a minute. Like who has access to this to this data? Like
right, like can
someone's
it
hacking
be
in, right?
Yeah,
like...
of course they are. I feel like if you're a hacker, the first place you go is the sex club.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like none of you are worried. None of you are worried. Because they're also
did we learn nothing from celebrities in the early 2000s?
Thank you. Yeah, like, and then also what confuses me is I mean, a lot of it confuses me, and I love having this conversation. But in this town of Carver City, like they're talking about like territories, and like Ursa's territory and or Isabel's territory, and are they talking crime? Are they like are they crime families? Like
yeah, that's the thing. I wrote down in my notes that her father dies. He just passed away, sadly. He was the ruler of their territory, but he was also known as the Man in Black.
Yes.
And everyone like really revered him. And I'm just like, what is this guy? What were they up to? Also, how did Hades make his money? Like, it's very unclear. Like, there's a lot. There's definitely an allusion to perhaps mafia style dealings. Without actually saying that. I'm sure the lawyer was like, absolutely
no guns, like no whatever.
No, yeah.
Which, fine. And it's, again, this is not the point of the book, but it doesn't, but for my brain, it needs to be said. Because, okay, you're in a mafia crime family, right? And like the main place where everyone goes is an underground sex club that asks you like for a blood sample and fingerprints and your social security number to get in. How could you possibly join the underground when you're also engaged in obviously illegal stuff. Like, you don't meet at a
You
sex club. Am I the only one who knows how these things work? Like,
You don't, you don't give them your fingerprints.
right?
Yeah, where is the police in this town?
I don't think that's another thing. Is there police? Like, I don't
think
know.
there is.
And so then if it's like, what? Who's in charge here?
Who's in charge here?
Doing?
I know we're really getting off topic, but I'm so glad I'm not the only one who thinks this way when I read these types of books.
No.
So anyway. So basically, getting back to the story, why we're all here.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel goes to the underworld on behalf of her sisters because she wants to get Beast and Gaston back.
Yes.
To help them fight Ursa, who is threatening war with their territory. Fair enough. Like, that's a pretty good plot.
We get her, like, understanding why she's there.
Yeah. So she immediately finds them in the sex club.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
There's
no away. Like, oh, I can't see my there's no she's eye like, adjustment.
I walk into the lobby or whatever, like the main room is, and she's like, I peer at a back booth, in a dimly lit back booth, but there he is. And she starts describing Gaston and his rugged features. And then as she sees Gaston, the Beast is behind her and like whispering in her ear, like, hello, Isabel. All sexy like.
It was so sexy.
So she immediately finds them, and they go into one of these private rooms after going down the long hallway.
Yes.
And she basically says, I need you guys to come back. And they're like, they both were like, you broke our hearts, Isabel, because she dated both of them.
That's correct. Yeah.
A year earlier. She dated both of them. And it didn't work out with either of them. And in Isabel's internal monologue, she's just like, I couldn't choose between the two of them. I loved them both equally. And so she didn't choose either of them. And everyone in the situation is heartbroken. Yeah. So Beast and Gaston see how desperate she is, and they say, I have an idea. Well, Beast says it first.
Yeah.
And he says, if you want us to come back, we will. But you're going to have to do something for us. And Gaston is basically like, I don't know, like, what are you saying? And Beast looks at him and goes, we top her together.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the agreement.
We top her together.
They top her together.
For 2 weeks. They top her together for 2 weeks. And at the end of the deal, she needs to choose one of them and stick with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then if, at the deal is that both of them will stay to help them fight, but she needs to make a decision once and for all.
Exactly.
So this is where I go like, okay, we're really deviating from the plot of the of the original movie.
Yes, we are. To the point where I was like thinking about it and I was like, wait, why is this called The Beast? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, shouldn't have this been called like not this at all, but like Tough Decisions or like, like something like that. Because it makes it seem like if it's about like, this is called The Beast, like that's the title of the book. And it makes it seem like, oh, the Beast is the one choosing between Gaston. You would think it would be Beast choosing between Gaston and Belle and not like,
that's a great point. Yeah, no, yeah. I think, I'm obviously, the obvious answer is they needed a title that would like fit with the Disney, like to still have the Disney thing in it.
Right, 100%. Yeah.
But obviously like Beast, it's not about the Beast. It's about the three of them. Although maybe the Beast is the pain that they all feel collectively.
Yes. Like it's a beast of heartbreak.
Their internal beast.
Right.
like we all
Right.
have, you know.
We all have our internal beast, and making choices is hard. And like, I think that there was a really, I mean, I do think that there was like this interesting theme in the book of like honesty and being honest with yourself and being honest with what you want and with what you
Mm-hmm.
desire and things like that. Cause like, that's kind of like the kind of arc that all three of them kind of go through and have been through, you know, of just like not being honest.
Yeah, they talk early on about how when Isabel was dating each of them,
Mm-hmm.
they had what she refers to in the book as vanilla sex.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of go on throughout the book to explain that both of these guys felt like Isabel was so pure and so precious and what a princess, that she would not be into the kind of rougher stuff that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so they never brought it up, and she never brought it up. And it's just, you know, it's just classic lack of communication
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in these relationships.
It really
Um,
is. Yeah.
so yeah, so they say we top her together, which just I love that line.
Just as the start of it.
And
Then they break out into song called Topper Together.
we top her, we top her. So they she agrees because
Mhm.
she's desperate, but at the same time, her internal dialogue. That the book is very very good about showing the internal dialogue with
Yes.
everyone
Hmm.
and making sure that it's very clear to the reader that she wants this. Everybody involved
Exactly.
wants this, which is,
Hmm.
and I think that's, yeah, I struggle with the sub dom style books because I don't enjoy reading about non consent
Yes, of course. Yeah.
stories.
Hmm.
And there is a lot in this book. If you're looking to read this book, and just there's like the bit of disclaimer where some um there is some mentions, like she says no occasionally and she says stop occasionally, but very early on they tell her that she needs to choose a safe word.
Hmm.
And you'll never guess what the safe word is. The safe word, for no reason that we can discern,
Hmm.
is candlestick.
Candlestick. And let's
Candlestick.
just say, I have to say, and this isn't the first time, because this author has written a lot of like retellings. She always chooses a safe word that's like ha ha ha. There's never a moment where the character hesitates. They're like, pick a safe word, and they're like, candlestick. Like it was just like, it's like, okay, all right, that was easy. Like,
She did not hesitate at all. She's just
no.
like, I've been banking this one. My safe word is candlestick. There's absolutely no mention of candlestick anywhere else in the book.
No.
There's absolutely, and let me just say right now, the lack of singing furniture in this book was a real disappointment.
I agree. I was expecting talking teacups.
They're hardly ever in the mansion until the end. They spend all their time in Gaten's apartment.
Which is like, comparatively, it seems like a nice apartment, but in the scheme of like the glamour of this world, it is like being in a studio apartment for a really long time when like there's like Cinderella's castles right there. You know what
And
I mean?
for all three of them. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I know it was only for 2 weeks, but it just, I don't know.
But a lot
So,
of it, like 75% of it, is just this fuck session in the apartment, which again,
yeah.
nice apartment, but it is like, this world is so weird. She says gods a lot, so obviously they're polytheistic. Like, what is, like, there's so much going on that, again, it doesn't matter. This is a sex smut book, that's why we're reading it, but it is kind of interesting to think about, like, well, what does a grocery store look like here?
Do they have Starbucks?
Thank you. Because, okay, I am really jumping ahead here,
Okay,
but
do it.
there is one moment where, kind of like the one-to-one, like the Tinkerbell in this world is a fashion designer, and she's
Yeah.
kind of like has her level of power within this underground world, and she like is tells the Beast and Gaston to go shopping for Isabel. And she's like, here's a list of stuff you need to get for her. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll get it, because like they again, it's all for this like ruse that they're doing. They're in trouble. The stakes are high. This is like in the act 3, end of act 2 kind of the story.
Like they've already kind of talked about how they all, like, none of them want to choose.
Mm-hmm.
They all want to be together, and then they're trying to figure out how to like get everyone else on board with that dynamic.
Yeah. So again, they had Belle had been in Gaston's apartment like without any clothes, which again, that's a common, whatever, it's a common fantasy amongst the thing of just being helpless, like that being turned on that way.
Can we talk about how they ripped her dress at the underworld and then never gave her clothes?
No.
They're like, you're just going to be naked in our apartment for us.
And she was like, oh, really?
But she was into it. She was into it. Yeah.
You know what I really liked, though, is that there was a time when she did use Candlestick. And I was like, that was cool. Because it was like they were doing this thing of like, we're going to make you come 20 million times on Saturday or something. It was like something ridiculous, which made me exhausted.
Just reading about it.
I was just like, they were like, okay, we're going to try. Like, it was like something like 15. And I'm like, this is exhausting.
It was a lot.
Too much.
Yeah.
And so they're like, you're never going to be clothed, blah, 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 blah. But, wait, what was I saying?
When Tink came in.
When Tink comes in and she was like, okay, they hatched some plan to buy the stuff. She sends them out on an errand. And I was like, I want to see I could read a whole book of the two of them just at the mall at Zara trying to find outfits for Isabel.
Going through the makeup counter at Macy's.
Thank you. Yeah.
What is this stuff?
Yeah, like not knowing what foundation to get, like not knowing the difference between like ivory and then like, tones of like makeup. Like that to me is brilliant. Like I would read the shit out of that.
I want that book so bad.
Just like I could watch like a whole 3-hour play of just the two of them at a Macy's counter being like, what's concealer? Like
what is the difference between hyaluronic acid and retinol? I don't know.
Salicylic, I don't know what these words mean.
I don't know what these words mean. Where's the novella, Katie?
Yeah, like that.
If you're listening.
Please, like I would love that. I just think because it's so hard. I think maybe I think we have similar brains in that it's really hard not to think about the more mundane things of these insane books, just because when you read so much of them.
Well, don't call me out like that.
Well,
I totally see what you're saying, but also again, I have stopped reading and I do listen more, and so when I came back to this book, I'm just like, there's just so many unanswered questions here. It's fine though. It's fine.
It's absolutely fine. I want to talk about okay, this world was confusing. Like, what about kind of the character backstories, particularly that of the Beast, and the fact that this isn't just kind of like a triad kind of throuple situation where it's like Isabel has 2 boyfriends. The Beast and Gaston also love each other, and they also have sex with each other and are very fond of each other. Like, what did you think, compared to other Why Choose books that you've read? I find that very rare to see that. I enjoyed it very much, just seeing oh, okay, it's a full on, it's not just Belle and her husbands, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not a sister wives situation.
Right.
It is a true polyamorous throuple. And I'm definitely not the expert on this, so please don't send Becky mail if I say the wrong thing. So I do think it's interesting, and I do think the way that they played it out with, they both dated her, and so essentially theirs is an enemies to lovers story.
Yes.
They start out very much being like, I don't like the guy. I've seen him around the sex club. We've done some scenes together, meaning that they have interacted sexually together. And, but it's very clear that I think Beast has feelings for Gaetan
Mm-hmm.
more than he has for Beast at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then again, you get the eternal dialogue when it's their POV chapter that he is starting to, he's just like, gosh, I want to hate him, but I don't.
Mm-hmm. You
He's so
can't.
attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then it really grows from there until at the very end where they're ready to kind of confess that yes, they all do want to be together and
Mm-hmm.
keep fucking each other for the rest of their lives,
It
which
was
is so
great.
romantic.
I thought it was so romantic.
It's very sweet. The ending actually is very sweet.
It is such a sweet ending, and like,
yeah, it is. It's nice.
It is a nice ending. I actually wanted to like, I was like thinking about like what is my favorite sex scene in this book, and then I realized like honestly, I really did like it when they all at the last one when they all were like kind of. I mean, again, it was exhausting because like, dear God, but it was like they all kind of like the masks were gone, you know, and they
Yeah.
all were gonna be together, you know, and I was just like, there was something there was something very like real and raw and like hot about it, and that's like I think it has to do with the ending where it's like they all really love each other, man. They do.
They do. They finally admitted it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's very sweet that this whole situation, you know, there was some stuff I didn't really love the way they went about it.
Right.
But you could tell that they always put her needs and wants first,
Mm-hmm.
and we're always very careful to keep checking in with her,
Mm-hmm.
to making sure that she still wanted to do this 2-week challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sounds like a detox. You're just like eating oranges for like 2 weeks, and it's like, but no, you're just gonna get fucked by 2 men for 2 weeks.
oh no, the horror. But it goes through some different emotional levels, and you see some like psychological insights there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about the Beast having this backstory
Mm-hmm.
where he and I it's a little foggy right now, but he lived in a different territory.
Correct.
And he had a lover
Mm-hmm.
in that territory,
Mm-hmm.
who disappeared during wartime or
Yeah.
disappeared during a battle or a fight or something like that, because they were both soldiers, generals. Again, very vague.
Yeah.
But I kept waiting for him to come back, for the old boyfriend to come back. I can't remember his name, but
it was like it wasn't something like it was like he came from, because I got it confused because he said that the town he was from was Sabine Valley. So like
yes.
so I kept thinking the guy's name was Sabine, but now why am I thinking the guy's name is like Jeffrey Cohen, which is not it at all. Like I don't know why.
But no, there's a C. It's a C name.
It is a C name, like
I didn't write it down.
Cabal or Kane or something.
Cable, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept waiting for him to come back, and he didn't. And I was actually a little disappointed. I wanted like a big, like, declaration at the end of like, I'm rejecting you because I have my new life now with Isabel
that too.
and Gaten. But it didn't happen. So I don't know. Maybe a sequel, part 2.
Maybe, I don't know. But like, I was like thinking that too, because like I was like, oh, not that it matters. Again, he's whatever the C guy's name is probably dead. But like for Isabel's like kind of own inner peace, like kind of like being like, no, my heart's fully in it, like just knowing that, because he does reveal like, oh, I had this love and it's haunted me, and it's like things like that don't really ever go away when you don't have closure. Like,
of course, yeah,
is he gonna come back? And then I was just like, my brain started going like, what if like Gaetan like was like, I was him the whole time, you know what I mean? And he was just like wearing a mask or something.
I am the one who offed him.
Exactly.
You know?
I was expecting, a little more like non-sex
drama.
Plot.
Yes.
Yeah. Because
that's
like
what we get for hoping and wishing.
I know. It is a very simple story, you know, like
it's a very simple
it's
story.
Like kind of like there weren't a lot of like, whoa, no way. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, there wasn't anything that like caught me off guard. You know what I mean?
It's you. you get what you sign up for with
Yeah.
this book. It
Mm-hmm.
absolutely delivers what you think it's going to deliver. But yeah, the
Absolutely.
plot is not very strong. But
Yeah.
it was a fun read.
I like honestly, I am very Beauty and the Beast was one of my favorite animated movies growing up. And so I get very like I've read a lot of Beauty and the Beast smut and romance retellings, and I have to say I think this was my favorite one, which is saying a lot because I am
Really?
very I don't know, I feel like I'm very picky about my Beauty and the Beast retellings for some reason. Like it's such a dear story to me. Like
Yeah.
not that I'm like comparing it, but it's like you if you do it wrong, you're just telling a story of Stockholm syndrome, and that's like kind of fucked. And so it's like, okay, it has to kind of be good in order for me to appreciate it. And I'm like, I think this was my favorite.
Yeah. I will say though that the like Venn diagram of the Disney film and this book is like the smallest
Yes.
sliver of overlap.
100%. Which honestly is what I would want, because it as
Yeah.
fun, like it's fun to like talk about the premise of this book of like, oh, what if it was like Belle and Gaston and da da da. But then
Yeah.
in reality, it's like, well, you don't want that. You really
No, it's
don't want
not
that.
actually what I want
No.
to be picturing right now. Like
No, like
it
there's like
is.
a kid who lives in the castle. He's a cup. Like you don't want to dealing with that shit walking in on them. No.
You can't do that in front of the cup kid.
You can do it in
Uh
front of the cup kid.
yeah. It's like her name is Isabel, which okay, maybe that's similar. There is a mention of a candlestick.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to wear yellow
They do mention that they
there.
have a yellow dress they want to put
Yeah.
her in, but they never do
Well,
because
and then she wears, yes, you're right. And then she wears like a simple yellow dress at the end for the
that's right.
meeting with her sisters.
Right. Yeah.
And then Gayton, we find out that Gayton, when he and Beast are together, um, Beast asks him for his safe word, and
Mm-hmm.
he says Rose.
Yes.
And then Isabel's internal dialogue is like, oh, his nickname for me. He never forgot it. I'm like, and now he's using it as oh, my boyfriend is using my nickname as his safe word for when he's having sex with my other boyfriend. That's so sweet.
He does love
He
me.
does still think of me.
That was so funny and random.
So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Rose and Yellow and a character
Mm-hmm.
named Beast, and that's honestly
That's
where the
on.
similarities end. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really like all you need. Again, this was like I think like you were saying before, like I think this was like kind of like if you are curious about like, okay, I do want to read something with BDSM. I'm kind of feeling iffy about the idea of like I don't want to read anything that'll make me uncomfortable. Like this does do a good job kind of explaining the rules of like these relationships and how it's like about pleasure and listening and trust. Like I there was never a moment
Mm-hmm.
where I was like scared for anyone.
Yeah, I was never scared. I totally understood the consent the same time. Again, just what I would caution people is if you're uncomfortable with characters actually saying no or stop,
Yes.
even if it's in a role play situation where it has already been explained to you
Mhm.
that the character has a safe word and she can use it anytime she wants,
Yeah.
and her internal dialogue tells you the same thing. To
Mhm.
me, like I guess I'm just a little more sensitive to that.
No, I
Um
think that's totally understandable. Like I think it's like I feel like I'm kind of the same way, just given that like I have read books where internal dialogue, any talk of safe, like there isn't even a safe word, because
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
just again I'm putting myself in the writer's world and saying that like maybe they're like, oh, this is a book, I don't need it, blah blah blah, people who like it will get it. But
Yeah.
like, oh, if you but it makes me anxious because I think of readers who haven't read this stuff before and they're picking this book up for the first time and not knowing. And then it's like, that's kind of
Right.
like, whoa, fuck, that's like
Right.
a lot. And it's like, this book, I think, like, does a good job, like, holding your hand, even though there could have been
Yes.
parts where like it could have been a little more overt for like, everyone to feel comfortable.
Yeah, and again, there's different levels of filth for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's certain kinks for everybody. And so this absolutely is not me saying this book should not have done it this way.
No, of course not.
Because
No.
someone out there is loving this, and I love
Yes.
that for them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just that's my only little disclaimer. But the
Mm-hmm.
story overall, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how this book series I can see why it does so well and it gets so many good reviews, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a quick read.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple read. You don't have to bother with plot too much. Yeah, I loved it.
I
I
loved it
liked it.
too.
I liked it. I liked
Yeah.
it.
I thought I feel like it wasn't my favorite. Like, I think I've read books that this author wrote that I would like if I had a choice to read again, I probably wouldn't choose this one.
Yeah.
But like, I do think that I really do love this author. I think she is like very good and like very clever. And yeah, I thought like, it delivers. It delivers.
It delivers for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, I want to play one final game before I get your final thoughts. And this game is called Was This a Line from the Book, or is it a line in the 1991 Beauty and the Beast movie?
Oh man, if I fail this, my community is going to
is this where it's gonna go? Because I was like looking at dialogue from the movie and I was like, could this be if someone said it sexy? I'm gonna say one line of dialogue. Okay. Is this from the book or is that from the movie? Okay. Oh, that is despicable. I love it.
That is despicable. I love it. I feel like this is a trick. I feel like you're tricking me, Becky. I'm gonna say it's from the. I think it's from the movie.
It is from the movie. I said it in a weird way.
Who says it? I want to say it's like Cogsworth.
No, it's when Gaston gets the weird doctor guy from that asylum to like kidnap Belle's father and call him insane so she'll marry him. And he goes, "Oh, that's despicable. I love it." He doesn't say it like that at all.
That sounds like something Gaston would say. I almost said Gaten. God, my brain is worms.
I mean, listen, this is what happens. Okay, here's another one.
All right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. This is monsters are effective, monsters are more effective than princes when it comes to keeping what you care about safe.
That's definitely from the book.
That's from the book. Yes.
I remember that line because monsters are more effective than princes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she was kind of referring to them as acting a little monstrous.
Yes.
But she liked it because it made her feel like protected and like they would fight for her. Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be your trick one. Okay.
Oh God. Okay.
Do I still have to sleep in the cupboard?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
What would that be?
That one's from the movie. But it could.
It could be like any of these lines. I'm like, I could see this being a line of dialogue in the book,
Yeah, there's a version of the book that exists where Isabel walks into the apartment and she's like, well, where am I supposed to sleep? The cupboard?
The cupboard. Yeah. Because there is a moment. Oh, wait. There was a moment that I highlighted in this book that made me laugh. So, okay, I'm just going to read this real quick. But so it's like about like Gaetan and Beast are like, kind of dealing with the sexual attraction they have towards each other. And so like they're talking and like it's like the next day Isabel's like asleep and And so like one of them is like, you're offering to get me off. And he's like, something like that. His lips curve the smallest amount, and that same amusement I glimpsed earlier flickers through his eyes. Fuck, but he's pretty. He's easy to forget because he's so hard, but right now, the only hard thing about Beast is his cock. I swallow past my suddenly dry throat. Be my guest. I cheered aloud when I read that.
I forgot all about that. Oh, so good.
So
all
good.
Right. Add that to the Venn diagram overlap because there is a Be My Guest.
Yes.
Reference.
Thank you. And I will say, I think legal got around it because I think it's Be Our Guest.
It's Be Our Guest. Yeah.
But this is Be My Guest, so clearly no one can come for Katee Robert.
No one can come for her. And I feel like even if there was a Be Our Guest, maybe I bet the lawyers would axe that just to be safe.
Yeah, just to be safe. But
Be My Guest is just a phrase.
It's just a phrase. It was used expertly and perfectly. Like it's
kudos to Katee for that one. Chef's
brilliant.
kiss.
Chef's kiss to that one. Okay. I want to ask for your final thoughts and a rating. Now, for the rating, I was thinking something that I also believe occurs in the 1991 animated movie is the Beast has his dick pierced. And
yes. Famously,
as we all know from the 1991 movie, his dick is pierced. So you are going to rate this based on Beast dick piercing. Oh, gosh. 1 out of 5 piercings means you hated it. 5 out of 5 means you loved it. Rate on enjoyability, or I'm gonna rate on enjoyability, but rate however you want, because I know you read other books, and so this might have not been your cup of tea. But give a rating. Final thoughts.
I'm gonna go 3 out of 5 Beast dick piercings.
Beautiful.
And I give it that rating because it was a fun read. It was an easy read. It's definitely, as you said, a good intro to these sorts of dynamics, the dom and sub dynamics. It's a fun why choose situation with a nice happily ever after. I have to take points off for some of the things we mentioned, like what I need more details about this war. I need to know about the groceries. Where do they shop for makeup?
Yep.
Where does Tink get her fabric for all of her amazing designs?
Thank you. How does she sew so fast?
How does she magic? How does she do it? How does she do all that? Is there magic? Is there magic in this world?
I know. I have that question every single book I've read of hers.
Why is Ursa have the nickname the Sea Witch if she's human?
Yeah. Is there a sea nearby? Does she have like a seashell theme home? Like, what's the deal?
How did she earn this nickname? Just lots of unanswered questions. So I have to knock off a couple points for that. But if you're looking for a good time, this series seems like it's pretty fun. It is not a Disney series.
Not at all.
Not Disney. Not Disney.
It's not Disney, but I feel like
in mind.
It's definitely for the adults who like if those animated movies made a big impact on the summer, every single summer when they would come out, it's like, and you wanted to read something smutty. I definitely think you would appreciate this for sure.
You would appreciate this. And there are the little things that will give you a chuckle, like the Be Our Guest throw in, the rose nickname, the candlestick. I also want to give a shout out to Aurora, who works at the sex club, the Underworld. And they mentioned that she has dyed pink and blue hair. And I was just like, that's really cute.
That's good.
It's a good one. And then the next sentence, they were like, she's wearing the tiniest white slip dress you've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, well, there it goes.
Can't she just show, like, if she were wearing, she was wearing a giant shirt that said, like, TJ's bar mitzvah, like, then I would have been like, yeah.
No, it was really fun, and I'm glad that you brought this up to me. And please have me back on. And I want to do an entire episode where you talk about this sex club that you went to. I want to hear all about the paperwork.
Oh, yes, there was
and the regulations.
so much paperwork. Oh my god, I gave them. They like have my DNA. It's like
yeah, their
wild.
Fingerprints. Yeah, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by that.
Oh my god, I will tell you everything. I went there twice, and I was there for like 15 minutes tops. But anyway,
I want to hear. I want to hear
okay.
all about it.
Absolutely.
I'm obsessed.
Okay.
Okay.
Mindy, thank you so much. This was so fun. Thank you so much again. Tell us where we can find you online, promote yourself, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. Well, I mostly hang out on Instagram and Threads. My handle is at FAIRYTALE Mindy. And then you can find my Disney website, my Disney themed website at thisfairytalelife.com. And then I also do, I'm a burnout recovery coach for content creators. I like to work with content creators on their mental health. And you can look all that up at mindymarzec.com.
Yay!
And this was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. If you like today's episode and want to help out the show, be sure to leave a review and follow the show on various social media platforms at TSTL Podcast. And if you didn't like today's episode, why'd you listen to the end? What are you still doing here? TSTL is part of the Culture Podcast Network. Thank you so much for listening, and have a filthy rest of your day.